Hi, welcome guys to another Talking Sales episode. Today with me, there is a Ken Millard, who is a sales enablement enthusiast and practitioner who has been doing it for over 15 years in many different roles, in many different organizations. Ken, I'm really grateful that you agreed to talk with me today. I'm very excited for our conversation.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Adriana. I'm very happy to talk about our topic today.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Okay, sales enablement tech stacks can be very complex. There are many tools that are popping up, and with so many different tools and platforms available, it's hard to make a choice. Like, what strategies you have found most effective for determining which tools are the most essentials for a sales team? Because you can't have them all at once, right?
No, you can't, Adriana. And there are, you're right, very many shiny new things out there that people get dazzled by and want to get their hands on because they believe that it can solve all of their issues that they have with sales or with the challenges that a particular company has. But what I like to look at is sometimes the technology on its own is not the solution that you necessarily provides the answers. So what you need to look at is identify where is the company at a particular moment? Where are the people in your sales teams on their own individual journey? And where is the product on its development cycle? And try and bring all those things together to identify which areas you need to change in order to make the biggest impact. What tech could be a part of a solution that helps your company make the right kind of step? But I emphasize, it's not just tech. Tech doesn't really take you towards a solution. It's part of the solution. You need to have the people in the right, enabled in the right way. They need to be made enthusiastic about the tech that's coming on board, and they need to know why it's coming on board. Otherwise, it's just plonked into an organization, and they don't have an idea about why this new tech is going to make a difference for them. So making it part of, if you're looking at, for instance, an area involved with the CRM, perhaps Salesforce, perhaps something else, but the tech that you add into Salesforce needs to add in something for everybody that's involved. It can't just be about the managers, and it can't just be about the sellers, and it can't just be about the product. There needs to be elements of it that apply to everybody. And the enabler's role is to bring all that together. It needs to make the managers aware of what they're going to get from it, and also what they need to contribute. And the sellers likewise need to know what's in it for them, what changes it going to make to their way of doing their business, and also what's expected of them. And also maybe even the product people, they need to know what this tech stack, how they need to interact with the tech stack in order for it to work for the rest of the organization, and what they get out of it. So everybody involved needs to know, okay, what's it going to change in my world? What do I need to do? And what I get out of it. Otherwise, it will die on the vine. It will not succeed for one of those three key groups. And as a consequence, for the other two, it will also gradually decline, because everybody needs to be involved.
Definitely. I completely agree with you, what you're saying. The thing is that the new tech is like this shiny new object that promises that everything will be easier, smarter, simpler with data and all of it. So it's not easy to hold back and stay with just what you mentioned. So how do you ensure that your tech stack basically stays lean, so effective, rather than becoming a bloated with unnecessary tools? Because, you know, the temptation is there.
Yeah, the temptation is there, and the temptation has been there. You know, the idea of new shiny toys is nothing new. There have been, you know, shiny toys ever since tech was invented. You know, so you not only have to work with the temptation to bring something in, and that temptation, as you've already mentioned, is very great. It's new, shiny. The salesperson has done a great job of selling it into somebody in your organization, and as a consequence, sometimes you find yourself driven that you must adopt this new thing. But all you have to do is look at your own tech stack that has been around for a while and realize that some of it maybe could be removed or maybe could be changed to make a better impact. So you do need to have a rearwards looking mirror to make sure that you're taking into account the fact that your tech stack that you've had for a while, you don't want to be adding to it, making it more complex without recognizing that some of the tech stack that you've already got could be adapted or could be modified to fill that role. It's not new and shiny necessarily, and it's not being sold to you very heavily, but maybe some of your previous tech stack could be adapted to fill that gap that you've identified. The difficulty that you've got with your old tech stack is that maybe no one knows what would be impacted in your organization were it to be ripped out. You know, the consultants are long gone. The people that implemented it may, you know, in your own organization may have also moved on to new pastures. So you've got to realize that sometimes it could be better to reassess what you've got, maybe revamp it, maybe change it a little bit rather than bringing in something new. And maybe the effort and the budget you've got to bring in a new toy could be better spent in refreshing your existing tech stack. I mean, that tech stack, that tech that was introduced maybe 5 years ago, probably did a great job 5 years ago. But your company's moved on, your people have moved on, your market has moved on, your competitors have moved on. And, you know, now you need something different. But it does need a holistic view. It does need a view that takes into account where you were, where you are now, and where you want to get to in order for you to make the right choices about which of your options you take. Is it new shiny toy? Is it modified what we currently have? Or is indeed it worthwhile spending some time and money in ripping out something that was good back then, but is no longer good now?
Yeah, amazing. Like with technology, there's always one topic that pops up whenever I talk to the salespeople. It's the adoption. So many companies struggle with getting their sales team to actually use the sales technology and enablement tools that they already have. What advice do you have for ensuring adoption and effective use of sales enablement technology across company?
Yes, this is a very crucial element of enablement. So I'm really glad you asked that. And the difficulty is that people dislike change, but they welcome the benefits of the change. But unfortunately, you can't get one without the other. And so getting a project to succeed is very often like the Greek myth of Sisyphus. I don't know if your watchers or listeners have heard of him, but he's the one that was famous for pushing the stone up the hill and taking a huge effort to push the stone up the hill, and then thinking that he was going to get to the top, and he finally does get to the top, and then the stone rolls down the other side and he has to start again. So it's a Herculean task getting this adoption from sellers, because they resist the change because they don't understand what's in it for them. They want to be able to see the benefits and realize the benefits without necessarily taking much of an effort to actually be a part of making those benefits to be realized. And so to avoid that, to get adoption, you need to start small. Typically, a small group of people that are in the organization, make them a part of the problem or the challenge of adoption. So you take this small group, hopefully a representative of the organization, you know, so from detractors, we all know who they are. They're, you know, the people that are very happy with the status quo. They don't want to change anything. And then maybe some other people that are enthusiastic about the new shiny toy. Bring them together, get them to be part of the solution, put them in a workshop, get them to recognize the problem, get them to identify what the solution could look like. Hopefully, the person that does that facilitates it in such a way that the solution that the new thing that you want to bring on board is part of that solution, and make them identify, okay, well, how could we roll it out? How could we make it that the detractors come on board? How could we make it that the enthusiastic people are part of a winning solution for the organization? But make everyone aware that they're in this for that, you know, make it a public pilot, you know. Part of the rollout of this is that the first 3 months, we're going to have this group, they're going to analyze it, they're going to make it work for the rest of the organization, and here's what they're going to do. Here's what the rollout looks like. The various stages on the timeline that of adoption. It's not just going to be thrown against the wall and everyone, it gets rolled out to everyone. Everyone has to use it. They're not sure. They don't like it. They don't know who to ask. They don't know. They come across a problem. They can't find the material. They couldn't.
So they give up.
Training, or they give up. Yeah. Or the training was at a time when they had to take their kids to the school or whatever, and they watch a recording for an hour and they get bored and they have a cup of tea. All these things get in the way. So make this pilot project, make them part of the solution to make it a success, that the rollout works, that fewer people give up. And then the enabler's job becomes one of publicizing the success. So publicizing the pilot, publicizing the rollout, publicizing the success on the way, whatever that tool was intended to do, whatever needle it was designed to change, or whatever behavior it was designed to change. If there are some people that are changing their behavior in that way, publicize that to the rest of the organization. Make a big noise about it, because people need to see success before they get involved. People need to see that other people are doing it. Make the company talk about this solution. You know, if it's a language, if it's something that is to do with the sales process, make this new tool part of the sales process. Make this, if it's content or if it's a new persona, make the references to those personas or that new content part of everyone's conversation.
Yeah. The other question, the other area of conversation when we talk about tech stack and tech enablement technology is basically the ROI of sales enablement technology. What specific metrics do you think are the most important to track whenever like companies say, okay, there is an investment that we need to do in this technology? How to best approach it to know that it's working for you? Right.
Well, the first thing to do is not to start with a KPI, not to start with a metric as the reason to do a project. Take a step back, look at what the company is trying to achieve from a business objective. What is this shiny new thing designed to change? You know, what is the company trying to change about its behavior that this tool will be a part of that change? And the tricky thing here is that a lot of companies, a lot of sellers are trained to tell people, yes, use this new tool because it's best practice in the industry and it's best practice for you to adopt this tool because it does this. Now, the problem with that is that those best practices don't necessarily, they might do, but don't necessarily reflect where, as I said back at the beginning, where your company is, you know, where your people are on their journey, where your product is on its journey. So be wary of best practices. It's unless they say this is a best practice for a company that looks like you are. It's a competitor or somebody that is of a similar size, maybe in a similar geography, maybe using in a similar kind of cultural setup, and then those best practices might be applicable. But if you just take an approach, okay, yeah, we need to improve our win rate, okay, and then everything becomes about the win rate. But why is win rate an issue? What is it about your company setup that dictates that you need to improve your win rate? It might be that you're in a market where the change of your solution only happens maybe once every 2 or 3 years, or maybe the cycle of your sales cycle is incredibly long. Therefore, you need to make sure that if you start on that sales cycle, you're going to win more than you lose. But actually, it might be that it's better in order to impact that win rate. It might be better, rather than focusing on better objection handling, it might be better to invest your time on something which helps you with qualification right back at the beginning. So try and identify what causes you to, in this case, want to improve your win rate, and what is the business decisions that have been taken that lead you to wanting to have a better win rate. If it's another example could be, oh yeah, we need to improve our win rate because we're getting beaten by a competitor. Getting beaten by a competitor. If that's the case, then perhaps the solution you need is better competitive intelligence and not win rate. So look at what's happening behind and try and look at, okay, what KPIs or what metrics would demonstrate that our business objective is being achieved, rather than starting off with a specific KPI and saying, oh, this is the way forward. We need to improve win rate, and let's do everything. Let's get a new tool in because this is, I'm told, this is the fantastic thing for improving win rate. It works for Google, therefore it must work for us. And it makes no sense.
I love this one. I love this one. If it works for Google, it works for us.
No, it doesn't, because Google is ginormous. Google does things in its own way. Google drives the market. Very few companies are in a position to drive the market.
Okay, so that's a really practical advice that you shared. Maybe let's just go in for a second on the mistakes that you have seen across companies that they did. What are the most common ones? And maybe could you share some tips on how to avoid them? Yeah,
thank you. There are a few pitfalls there, so let's look at them a little bit. The people are very enthusiastic about these shiny things that we've mentioned. Okay, these new shiny toys, and somebody in the organization has been sold this. So, and it's often, this is great because it's so cool. It does all these great things, and it's got AI and machine learning, and oh yeah, and all these other people are using it, but key to making a change is that you have to have adoption. We discussed this before, and gaining the adoption, gaining usage momentum over time, and planning and making sure that people understand what's in it for them. And what's in it for each of the individual people involved, how it's going to impact them is key to countering this headlong or rush into a cool tool that people out there are getting enthusiastic about, and it's upcoming, it's a unicorn, and all these kind of great things. But actually, it worked for us? Is it going to make a difference for us? And if so, how long is it going to take? Don't set yourself up the salesperson told us that implementation takes a month, therefore we should be able to see a difference within 2 months. No, make sure that you set yourself up for success. You might choose a new shiny toy delivered by a unicorn, and it might be the greatest thing for you since sliced bread, but make sure that everyone understands what the timeline is. Don't sell yourself short. You're in this to make to be successful, and define for yourself what success looks like. If someone else defines it for you, you're going to struggle much more than you would do if you're part of picking what good looks like, what success looks like, and how long success takes to be realized in your company. And don't forget that the implementation and the integration with your systems is the start of the journey. It's not the end of the journey. Don't think, oh yeah, my CS person at this new shiny toy company says implementation is done in a month. Fine, that's great, but that is really the start. You've got to put time in for adoption. You've got to put time in to allow for momentum to be created. You've got to put time into your planning for perhaps a refresh 6 months down the road. Don't plan only as far as implementation. Look at it as a longer term. If it's worthwhile investing in a tool, it's worthwhile investing in it properly. Say this is going to take 12 months before it rolls out. If people push back, then you can say, well, do we really want to do this then? Because it's not going to be a success for this period of time. If you think it's going to be done in 3 months, we're going to fail because it simply won't happen. Another thing that you've got to bear in mind is that some tools or some organizations say, okay, we've got the best product in this area, okay, and you know that. And we've also recently acquired a few other companies, and they do all the other great things. And if you buy all of our solutions together, we'll have it integrated with you, and it'll all work like clockwork. Yeah, doesn't always work like that. And the people that sell you sort of like a platform solution, it may well be good in a certain area. It's going to take time for the companies that they bought or the technology they're developing to come to fruition. If you're willing to wait that long, you know, to my previous point, it might take 12 months before it's available, fine. But don't expect that a company that has bought a number of solutions, or a company that has developed a number of solutions where they started off with one and are now developing others, they're not going to be necessarily meeting all your needs. It's like going to a restaurant which specializes in a certain type of cuisine, or one where you go and the menu's got sushi, Indian, pizzas, kebabs. I'm sure they're fine. They're not going to be specialized in a certain area. You could pick from this ginormous menu and you might eat okay. But in terms of your selection of tools, it might be better to pick a number of different solutions and work on them with your current setup, because they're likely to be, in many cases, better in that particular area than perhaps something which has been brought together by somebody else. You can then